Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to the Q earnings call of Singulus Technologies. Today's speakers are Markus Ehret and Lars Liederwirt. They will walk us through the company's performance for the first 3 months of the fiscal year 2025. Before we dive in, a quick housekeeping note. The conference is being recorded and all the participants are in a listen-only mode. If you have a question, please use one of the following ways. Submit the question by using the chat box, and we will address them in the Q&A session after the presentation. Please make sure to preface each question with your name and the name of your company in order to be considered. You can also ask questions directly via the microphone. Please type the word question into the chat box to be considered, and we will open the line at the beginning of the Q&A session. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Mr. Ehret and Mr. Liederwirt. The floor is yours.
So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for participating in our Q1 2025 conference call. We look very much forward to explaining our financials and our strategy to you, and look forward to the questions also you might have afterwards. So, as I said, thanks for the participation, and let's dive into the first overview on the key financials. The first quarter has been a little bit slower than expected. However, we still stick to the plans we have for the full year. The U.S. administration, as everybody knows, is not really helpful by shaking up the markets and providing a lot of uncertainty. Please be aware that we are basically delivering to our customers expansion of production capacity. So if there's uncertainty and the growth in many markets is at stake, then this will also reflect our order entries and our revenues due to the fact that if the projects are kind of slower. So what we do expect, however, is that this turmoil and the uncertainty will kind of go down and things will get calmer over the year, and we do see already some nice order entries also in April, and we will also publish those in the coming days and weeks, and we expect more to come. So we feel that we are still on track, and the first quarter is in line with the broader expectations at least. The revenues you see are at 16.4 million. Last year we had 20.6, so first quarter a little bit slow also. Order intake, as I mentioned, we have only seen 6.4 million. Customers were kind of making up their minds, as I mentioned, on the orders. However, we do see that things are kind of falling back into place. And as I said, we have already two additional orders received after March 31st in April, and expecting more to come. Order backlog is at 74.9 million, and our profitability is plus minus zero, so it's 0.5 million. So we're doing pretty well on a very on a rather low level of revenues, but you can see then when revenues will be picking up, we will be increasing our profitability also as utilization in the overall organization moves up. EBITDA, we are asset light, so there's not much of depreciation in our business, and that's basically, let's say, on the overview. We will see the details on the slides following. Let's move on to the next slides. And so the revenues at 16.4 are basically splitting up into 3.1 million for solar and 8.3 in semiconductor and 5 in life science. So it's a good distribution. Solar's a little bit slow, but we also do think that this will be moving up in the months coming. OpEx is in line, I think, and profitability, the gross margin with above 30% is very, very good. And we try to keep always staying above the 30% level, as you know. So 34.6 is very good. We'll be working on keeping it at that level. However, it might also be a little bit lower at the end. and kind of be close to 30% at the year end. Let's see where we end up then. OpEx, we are also cautious on our costs, as you know, and we are always trying to find areas where we can save money, where we can reduce our OpEx. This is an ongoing task, and lastly, by my side when he joined has also very good ideas and strong ideas how we can be more efficient as we've been in the past. So overall, we try to stay very low on OpEx and thus keeping our profitability as it is. So that was basically the P&L. Look at the P&L. Let's move on to the balance sheet. You know that we are tight on cash. This is very obvious. However, we are managing our cash flows very strong. And when the business is picking up, as we expect it to pick up this year, also our cash available will be moving up as we are working always with a small working capital and managing our working capital very tightly. And of course, we are also working with the prepayments from our customers, which kind of move ahead of the payouts for the projects themselves. So that's basically the cash available. We have some restricted cash as we have to give guarantees, bank guarantees, and you know that they are to a large degree have to be put down as backing the guarantee for the banks. And this hurts us, of course. So we try to avoid that. However, 2.9 million right now was at March 31st, basically the restricted cash. We're still struggling with the equity, of course. As you know, we have a negative net assets with 50.4 million. And this is something we have to work on over time, but we have some ideas, and especially if the profitability goes up, we will be having options to improve that figure over time. And the executive board is pretty confident that we can reduce that in the years coming and get to a normal level by various measures. Okay, so we have a look at the cash flow on the next page. As I mentioned already, we're very tightly managing our cash. We are very tightly managing our working capital. So this is why we do see that we are doing very well from our perspective on this area, and we try to improve, of course, the working capital management day by day. However, we are already very strict there, and we are monitoring our cash flows basically on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. The stability in the cash, when you have a look at the compared to the year end or to the Q1 24, you see that we have a very, very strong stability in cash. So we're focusing on it, and we are positive that we can improve the cash figure in the months coming upwards. So this will be very helpful also for us and the operations. Okay, let's have a look at the sales split by the segments. You can see, as I mentioned it already, you can see that 50% is semiconductor, 30% is the life science, and the 19-20% is solar. So semiconductor is already a very strong with the 8.3 million in revenues. And we do look forward that we can improve that figure further. Of course, solar has to grow also. And in the end, we are very positive that we will be meeting the guidance for the year which we have given. So that's basically the sales split for the segments. And then we have the sales split for the regions. And you can see the importance of Asia and, of course, of China in this context for us. So Asia, China is a very, very strong and important market to us. The Americas, well, we have several projects there, also in the solar area. Let's see how this develops if the dust settles a little bit once the Trump administration has, has resolved its key, let's say, objectives and of deal making. I guess this will be slowing down in the second half of the year, and we will be getting back to normal business, and the US will be picking up for us also again. So that's basically it, and I think, oh yeah, of course, we're always trying. On the next page, you see the headcount from our staff, and of course we're trying to keep our staff very stable, and we have a very low fluctuation, very low churn rate in staff, which is very important to us because our staff is basically our key asset, and we're very keen to have a stable staff and low churn rate. That's basically it at this stage, and I would now like to hand over to Lars Lieberwirt, whom you know already from the 2024 financial year presentation. Lars will give you an update on the strategy, and then afterwards we look very much forward to your questions. Thank you very much so far to your attention, and Lars, the stage is yours now.
Thank you, and good morning to everybody on the call. Singulus is a company with two key core technology platform. One are the vacuum technologies for deposition and thermal processes that we provide. The other key platform is the wet chemical technologies, where we use chemistry and wet processes in machines to process components. One of our key strategic direction that we aim for is to bring these two technology platforms closer together and work on unique selling point where we seek for more and more applications that require both technology fields together that allow us to create a unique proposition for customer and also for unique new applications that are out there. So examples are, of course, in the hydrogen electrolysis, carbon capture systems. Battery remains a very key element as multiple stage of components for battery production. We are working on medical applications that require both semiconductor and solar. So you can see a range of application that are only possible if you have both technology platforms. And as I said, we are working intensively to bring this closer. And that also puts us in a good position because there are not so many companies that offer those both technology platforms. And we see that when we enhance this direction, we also can tailor our product portfolio a little bit more. You see here an overview of different kind of industrial machines that we provide, both in the space of vacuum technology and wet chemical technology. And as we go forward, we see this product field or product portfolio also being adapted more and more to this new direction that we are going for. So the key technologies within these sections are thin film deposition, surface engineering, the wet chemical process, and thermal processing. And to play with those four key elements within these technology pillars gives us really a great opportunities for applications. One of them sits in semiconductor. We just talked about that. So Singulus' unique position here is to play in very, very thin depositions from starting from angstrom up to very thick deposition in micrometer, like it's required in sensor. So we have a very good footprint there. One of our key topic is the magnetics application. So we're depositing magnetic materials and building with materials, magnetic materials and sensor systems. We are doing the same thing also for some other application for insulators. They still have to do with magnetics and current sensing, but are much thicker. So what makes us really unique is that we play a lot in this very, very thin deposition, and that really differentiates us also from many other players. A second application where we need both wet chemistry and vacuum technology and medical technologies. There's a range of products that we are looking for to go into or to develop applications that require those both technologies. And there's really the key to make sure that we are using these two technology platforms and make sure that we are finding those unique differentiators for customers. In the packaging and high volume production system for packaging, we remain very well on track for eco-friendly and recyclable solutions for 3D packaging components and also some structural components. So those are embedded coatings that we are using, but it's also a lot of functional components where we are in a high volume production of a very, very integrated production system. Again, we are using here wet technologies and vacuum technologies and bring this together in a unique proposition. Interesting is we do have some good traction here also in low-cost countries that are doing that in discrete machines, and those customers in those regions are looking more and more for integrated high-volume production systems. So we feel that we have a very good system available to also continue to grow. We mentioned solar a few times. The solar market remains very, very important to us, especially because SINGULUS has developed a very unique proposition on heterojunction systems, and that makes it a very natural next steps to take also that experience that SINGULUS has in thin film deposition for solar to approach perovskites. So perovskite is a new system that is really rocking the market recently, that can either work as a perovskite single cell or as a tandem cell. So it's a stack of materials that is either deposited on a glass substrate or deposited on a solar cell already. So to have two different kind of solar cell technologies in one product. And we are offering both solutions and developing our perovskite solutions intensively forward. And we are very glad that we sold first systems already to customers. We see there is a great future and opportunity, and making sure that we integrate these two technologies into one solution for a customer through a turnkey approach ideally is a very key approach. And here you need also wet chemistry and vacuum deposition system. And we show you here an example of a turnkey solution where we bring in all the key technologies that SINGULUS has for wet and vacuum technologies into a system, and then making that upgradable for future adoption also for perovskites, offers us to really offer entire factory installations for customers. And that's what we call as a turnkey solution, where we guarantee the performance parameters of an entire factory, because we control all key manufacturing machines that are required. We see further development in hydrogen applications. So what we do there is to focus on unique components within the supply chain of those systems. And we are using there our systems for processing in vacuum and in chemistry, different kind of materials and modifying surface properties. And we see a good future there. It's not running as fast as we wish, but the market is there and the market is evolving. We also see that there are further processing steps happening after the hydrogen steps. And SINGULUS is very well positioned for that, especially through our chemical and capabilities. Manufacturing of next generation batteries remains really a very hot topic for us. We have first machines out, so we're working on multiple projects in multiple questions. So batteries are a very, very complex field. There are multiple technologies for batteries. So we need to tailor to those unique requirements of each customers and their unique process equipment. And we are doing that for systems that are working on attractions and replacing systems that we are doing with chemical systems, but also classic deposition systems, and working on a multiple range of functional elements. And I think this opportunity to bring technology together remains our key forward, and we are very positive about that. So all in all, you can see is we are working in thin film coatings and surface treatment, and are able to innovate in a broad range of applications. The key technology platform is very standardized. We can really find very good leverage between the different fields, and as we go, we are trying to use those synergies also to improve our speed of innovation, to improve our utilization of team and assets being used. So a wider application portfolio helps us to manage the company and seek this growth. We want to summarize. We want to summarize with our outlook for 25-26. So for 25, we are expecting revenues in the range 105 to 115 million euro. We are remaining focused on our EBIT, which is something that we follow very diligently to make sure that we meet our guidance. We hope that in 2026 we can increase that. We just mentioned there are major uncertainties in the markets. Our hope is that these uncertainties they settle very, very soon, and our strategic plan comes into place, and we are continuing our revenue growth. And we are doing this through innovation and diversification. So we are working on additional markets or niches within existing markets with additional features that we are able to offer. We have very clear strategies in place to work in technologies that reduce CO2 emissions and resource efficiencies, and that's a key selling criteria to many of our customers. And that really summarizes our strategic direction that I mentioned how many times in the discussion, to bring the best of wet chemistry and vacuum technology together to approach very dedicated applications in the market. And with that, we have a very clear focus in our organization. We have a very clear focus in our product offerings, and we are seeking your continuous attention as we progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're ready to take your questions if you have any.
Yeah, let's start the Q&A session. Thank you so far for the insights. We will start with the equity analysts who can ask a question directly via the microphone. To be considered, please type in the word question into the chat box to the line, and you can also submit your question via the chat function. Please use the chat box for stating your question, and we will address them. So we'll have a first question coming in from Abed Gerard. So we will open your line now and provide you also with the information. Abed, you will be able to open the line now. You have to unmute yourself.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. We can hear you, so please feel free to go on with your question.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I have a couple of questions. First, maybe you expressed yourself positively regarding full year guidance. However, even with full conversion of current backlog, which is 75 now, and sales in Q1, we are still under the lower end of the full year guidance. So maybe my first question is, do you expect to execute the whole back orders this year? And a follow-up question regarding this is, what is the average lead time of your solutions so that I can estimate how if like estimate the sales for this year.
So the first part is, I caught your question, but for the second part, what do you mean with lead time? Like on how long it takes when we start a project to recognize revenues, or
Yeah.
what
So from order to delivery.
Okay. Okay. So let me answer these questions. Basically, we do not expect to turn the full order backlog into revenues this year. That's so, but only to a large degree. Let's say perhaps about the 75 to 80% level or something like that. Is at least a guess roundabout. So we do, of course, expect, as I mentioned in the starting, we do expect to see some more orders coming in. And as I mentioned, we have already seen in April 2 orders come in. We will be also going public on those. They are normal orders in the semiconductor and also in that's in our vacuum technology level. So we will be reporting on that, and that's so we expect to receive sufficient and significant orders in the months coming. Typically, the lead time is very fast. We have some long-running parts which we have to order sometimes for some of the projects. But typically, we turn around the project within, let's say, 6 to 9 months, 12 months latest. And of course, we do ship, and this is basically then 80% of the revenue recognition. We do ship machines, let's say, within 4 months, 3, 4, 5 months latest. And then it takes quite a while. They go on a ship. It takes another 6 to 8 weeks until they end up at the customer, and then we have the commissioning phase. So we do expect that we have sufficient order entry and sufficient time to turn the orders into revenue to achieve the objectives we have set for this year. But we keep a close eye on that, as it's April or it's May already.
Okay, so you are expecting like a short orders with short-term lead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and maybe a follow-up question. You have published last week a recent order from Wika, Germany. Can you please give us some more details on that? Was it a one-off project or is it a part of broader engagement?
So it's a new technology that we are working on that has you can put it into a broader base of application that is very valid in the semiconductor space. And it's the first machine that we sold to that customer. We're allowed to call the customer name. We're working on other systems with a similar kind of technology that's based on a very unique source that we developed. And we expect that we will have further applications in that space.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. So we will go on with some question which came in via the check box. So it's coming. The first question comes from Thomas Schiesle. He's asking, please give an update on financing and loan issues.
Okay. So basically, for the unqualified audit of our customer of our auditors, we had to refinance the key parts of our financing structure on the debt side, and we were able to get prolongations on the 10 million, or now it is the 9 million loan from the Chinese bank. So we also could extend the 4 million super senior loan until March 31st next year. and also the 2 million working capital loan we have on the site. So we are basically fine with that. The bond is still pending, or is due next year in July. So it's July 26 is going to maturity. And we have already started discussions with potential other financiers or financing means. And we have to see how we will be refinancing the bond in the next months coming. So we still have like 14 months to achieve that objective. And we are looking right now for efficient and feasible products to refinance the bond, which is the 12 million bond, as most of you might know. So that's basically the key financing structures we do see ahead of us.
Thanks a lot. The next question comes from Mr. Luft, and he also asked how will you manage the debt during the next 12 months? But I guess this question was just answered, but there's another question. You reported 75 million order backlog. He calculated some 68 million order backlog. Would you please clarify?
Basically, we have our order backlog. I don't know where the discrepancy is coming from, but I'd be keen if he sent me an email on markus.ehret@singulus and provide me his maths. I look at it and we will then clarify where the difference comes from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can also provide some communication between you two to clarify this this calculation. For the time being, there are no further questions, so I would like to repeat that you've got the possibility to ask the question via the chat and also via the chat function. There's a small add-on coming from Mr. Luft, Q4 order backlog. Just make it publish. The order backlog was 77.4 million plus order intake of 6.4 million in Q1 and sales in Q1 60.4 million. But
I will check and get back to Mr. Luft. And if there's a little mistake somewhere happening, we will get back to the markets, and otherwise I will explain the difference.
okay, perfect. There's another question coming from Albert Gerard. The line is open. You just have to unmute yourself if you like to.
Hey, Markus, just a follow-up question regarding solar. I noticed you mentioned that it was only 15% of sales. Were there any delays or any problems with orders delivery?
With the delivery? Well, basically, we have been a little bit slow on the fulfillment of some of the projects as we had to manage also our liquidity, but this is picking up now. And also we expect some new orders in solar coming in. That's basically the two issues we have in solar.
There are no technical underlying issues that I'm aware of.
This is just organizational issues.
Okay. Regarding the order intakes, which was 6 million, this was obviously in Q1 before the tariff announcement. Can you clarify maybe once again why it was low year over year?
I think before the tariff announcement, there's a very well published opinion of different politicians in the US on their view to the market and their opinion about that solar market. And so players who are investing into production equipment, they listen to these statements very carefully, and there's an anticipated opinion to wait a little bit of what happens, right? And that's exactly what's happening. So we do have a lot of talks, but there is a lot of questions about or uncertainties about when to execute a project and when to move in, and investors who put up a large new factory that should run for many years, they want to have a certain security on the boundary conditions under which they operate. And currently these boundary conditions, they are in question and they are unclear. And thus there's a hesitancy from customers to jump very quickly into decision making, and that's really what you see in the first quarter, and that we saw already before that.
Okay, thank you so much.
I want to add really to this. We can really relate to this because just last week we concluded a very interesting exhibition at the Intersolar. The Smarter E is one of the largest solar exhibitions in Munich, and we had a booth there. We had many talks with many people, and you can see it's really the key topic about that uncertainty in the market. People are waiting, and so I think it will clear up at a later time in this year when we know a bit more for certainty where the market is moving. It's very well anticipated. Nobody is surprised. It's really that circumstance that we are facing.
All right, noted. Thank you so much.
Thank you so far. We've got a follow-up question which comes from Thomas Schiesler. Could you please provide an update on CNBM projects?
We delivered all the key CNBM projects that we have on shipment to the factories. We are shipping soon one more key tool which has been accepted already. So we are in very close contact with CNBM. I'm also very in the detail of all those projects, and we are trying to understand this. Currently, we don't have a projection for new projects as we go forward, and that's a guidance that we are following. So those machines that we are making and shipped so far, they are installed in the factories, and we're going through further tests. They're also working on further improvements of their system. So we had a very good dialogue with CNBM on those machines.
Perfect. Many thanks. So for the time being, there are no further questions and nobody in the line, but we will wait for a short moment. If anybody has a follow-up question, I would like to post a new one. But as there is nobody typing so far, I would like then to come to an end, and I would like to say thank you for the insightful question, and a big thank you to Mr. Ehret and Mr. Liederwirt for the insights, and to all the participants. We appreciate your time and your interest in Singulus Technologies, and we would like to share your feedback with Singulus Technologies and our research team as well. And for this reason, you will find a short email in your inbox with some survey. So I'd like then to have some final words, and have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you at the next events. And I'd like to hand over to you for the final words then.
All right, thank you very much for your attendance, and we look very much forward to seeing you in the half-year figures in 3 months from now.
Yes, thank you so much.
Have a great day.